There we go. Now we're better.
It's Friday. My whole family's going to be on vacation all week next week.
Oh, and you have to work. Oh my God.
So you're going to Cancun or?
Yeah. Me and Ted, he said I could use this place. He's not using it, turns out. He had a reservation. I am not getting on a plane anytime soon. I promise you that. All right.
Nice.
People.
All right. So we had a great Climate Caucus meeting yesterday.
It was
pretty
good.
exciting to check in with every committee in the building, nearly every committee. It is our goal that every committee would be looking for opportunities for how to incorporate some form of climate action into the work that they're doing. And so periodically last year, during the year, we would check in with every committee and ask the question, what's coming out of your committee? Is there a climate opportunity there? Is there a way to save Vermonters money on their heating or transportation? Is there a way to make our buildings more efficient and more comfortable to be in and to operate? And so yesterday at our Climate Caucus meeting, we spent some time checking in with every committee to see how things are going and see what ideas are about to pop out of committee that might have a little climate focus. And so we wanted to share some of those ideas with you because frankly, some of them are pretty exciting. So Chris, what were you most excited about?
I was most excited just about the fact that people engaged with the whole concept. Like, it wasn't that long ago, I'm embarrassed to say, that the legislature thought, oh, climate issues, that's at natural resources and energy. And that was it. Right. And
nobody else thought about it. Right.
Literally 5 years ago, if you'd have said to people, Transportation Committee needs to work on climate change, they would have been like, what do you mean? So it's part of our goal of Climate Solutions Caucus because most legislators are not necessarily on a committee that's obviously about climate, but to try to say, well, if you're in the education committee, and that was an interesting example that came up yesterday, what are you guys working on? And they said, well, we're looking at the inventory idea of what a school construction needs, what is inventory of the health of our buildings. And so we're going to make sure that we're looking at, insulation in buildings, air quality in buildings, and climate related things in buildings. So boom, that was it. That was I thought, a very interesting example of why this is important. And you could imagine without one or two of our folks there saying that would slip through or might slip through.
Right. Yeah, so it's helpful to have so many members of the Climate Caucus and have them spread around across different committees. So we touched a little bit on the concept of doing an inventory of our school buildings, really assessing where do we see the greatest need, so that if we have maybe some federal stimulus dollars to help with school construction, we can focus them on the places where I think the example that I heard from the House Education Chair was, there's a building where there's a sump pump in the classroom next to the sink that is leaking. And the sump pump is the only thing that keeps the classroom dry. And so, we know we have a variety of needs. Your high school in Burlington being shut down because of PCB contamination. So it would be helpful when we do that inventory to also be looking at HVAC, be looking at insulation. Are we getting adequate air circulation in these classrooms, which we know is the safest way to prevent the spread of COVID, but it's also critical to the health and safety and comfort of the people in the school building. So that was fun on the education committee. You talked about something that your ag committee is working on in the Senate. So why don't you tell us about that?
We talked about this a little bit a year ago, and then we got stymied because of the pandemic. But this has to do with compost and diversifying the ag economy a little bit. So as people probably know, we're not putting food scraps in the landfill anymore. And Vermont's way out in front on this compared to other states, and something that's really promising. And if you look at the worldwide climate effort, 2 of the top 5 strategies for reducing our emissions have to do with food waste, actually. So Vermont can be proud of this. But as we get, and over the last years, we've ramped up the amount of food scraps that are being diverted. And we don't quite have an infrastructure that can handle all of that. So right now, I'm embarrassed to tell you, right now, a lot of our food scraps are put on trucks and trucked to Maine. And many of those are incinerated. This is crazy. At the same time, we have farmers who are looking to diversify their income. We have a whole lot of us who are interested in building healthy soils so that we sequester carbon there, we sequester runoff and have less phosphorus pollution, et cetera. And there are some folks that raise chickens by feeding them food scraps. And this is sort of an ancient practice that's coming back in vogue. And if you can get those eggs, people tell you they're high quality, delicious eggs, and of course, cheaper for the farmer. So all of that is wrapped up into something Ag's been looking at, Senate Ag's been looking at for a couple of years now. And what we're trying to do basically is say, if you're a farm and you want to have a small food scrap operation, build some soil, even maybe sell some soil, use the soil implements for your own land, maybe raise chickens. There are a handful of farmers doing that. We're going to let you do it, and you're not going to have to go through A&R, which right now regulates all compost as if it was solid waste. There's water quality concerns for sure, so we're not oblivious to that, but we're asking the Ag Agency to have an MOU with A&R, basically copy A&R's rules, and just at the smallest scale that A&R permits, allow farmers to do that without going through A&R. From farmers' point of view, they really want to deal with one regulatory agency. And I don't have strong feelings about should we let that or not. I just want this to be easy. I just want this to actually happen so we don't truck all of our compost to Maine. And so we give Vermonters, farmers, another source of income. We build soil, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's make it easy. So that's what we're trying to do. I hope we're going to vote that out today or maybe early next week and get that moving along. And finally, we have A&R and Ag, the agencies have kind of come together because we've been stubborn about this, and they're ready to support it and work together. So that's really promising.
Excellent. Well, one of the more exciting pieces on the House side is the contractor registry bill. That is in House General Housing and Military Affairs right now. And, the bill really came about because of so many reports of consumer fraud, where somebody on very limited income, gave a contractor $5,000 to come in and and replace the back steps and the deck, and the contractor just disappeared with their last penny. And so there's a consumer protection aspect of the bill, because the bill requires anybody who is a contractor of a certain size to just register with the state. And it just means that, we verify that you're up on your taxes. We verify you're not ditching out on child support payments, and boom, you are registered as a contractor. Doesn't really require a whole lot. The other really compelling use for this registry really came to light about a year ago, because as you'll remember, when the economy shut down and the governor said, COVID is hit, we need to stay home, shut down, hold on. Then when it came time to restart and for these businesses to start operating again, they realized that we have this whole industry of people out there, and there's no way for us to give them the protocols and the safe, information that they need on how to do their job safely, what they're allowed to do versus what they're not allowed to do. And of course, every restaurant, every factory, every other kind of establishment, hair salons, whatever, had ready-made access to the health department's guidance on how to reopen safely. Contractors didn't. And then now we come to sort of the climate hitch as well. And that is that we don't have a ready-made way to share all of the information about how contractors can help us save on our heating bills, either by recommending renewable energy heating systems, or simply by understanding building science and making sure that the the buildings are insulated and ventilated appropriately, so that we can, have a safe, efficient home or municipal building or business. And so the contractor registry really is just that connection point where we can disseminate information out to people. And over time, we know that that's going to help to scale up the green acumen of our contractors out there.
Yeah. It strikes me, I mean, even just an update to the code. Hey, did you know the code's changed this? Now you got to do that. There's no way to communicate that.
Right.
And to say nothing of incentives that we are trying to pump out. A lot of them come through utilities, but it's going to be your contractor that'll help you figure out if you want to do that or not.
Right. Here's this oil furnace, and here's this renewable energy alternative that actually comes with an incentive, a tax break or whatnot. And
we do it for HVAC as an example, and plumbers. They are already registered with the state, though I think it's a bit of a creaky infrastructure where we're not necessarily hitting that email list with incentive programs. That was part of what we passed last year in S220, was trying to modernize. Yeah. This would also bring just your general contractors in.
Yep. So a lot of potential there.
Yeah, let's do one more because we're running out of time here. But do
you know what your favorite?
What's your I don't favorite? Know. There's good ones in transportation. Then there's broadband. Yeah. Obviously, climate infrastructure. Yeah.
Transportation broadband. The healthcare committee is talking about telemedicine. If you need a 15-minute appointment, why are we making you drive 30 minutes to get there? And so, just expanding access to telemedicine and making sure people have broadband so that they can use their telemedicine alternatives. That's a great way to serve more people and use less fuel.
And the tax committees are looking at ways to make sure we're understanding how to tax storage, battery storage. It's not been straightforward how we tax solar panels on fields, and so that took some time to do, but we haven't yet applied it to storage. So little modernizations like that, updates that make it possible to build out this infrastructure. There's lots of little, not super wildly exciting changes that collectively move us in the right direction. And we wanted to highlight that for you. That is going to ultimately be a bunch of our work as session continues here.
Yeah. So next week is an off week. We won't have a full climate caucus next week, but the resiliency working group will meet next Thursday. And I think we may also do a sort of a one-time informational session for folks about the contractor registry bill. I know that the home builders would really like to come in and talk with legislators and also out to you, our audience, to really help you understand why they think, this association of home builders, why they think it's important for us to have a registry and do a better job of educating our workforce. So lots of things going on in the next week, and we're ramping up to crossover, which is that magic date at which all bills that are moving this year need to have been moved over out of their originating body and over to the other body. So lots to keep track of over the next couple of weeks. And, we're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Sarah, nice to see you. Too bad it's virtual, but always a pleasure.
High five.
And, keep up the good work. Yeah. Take care.